Shalom. You reached the Heat Pray channel. My name is Azim Awath. But first and foremost, I want to say, call Halayim Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Harakakwadas. Double honors to the apostles and elders of 7:13:19. Where I learned this truth from who rule well. Salutations to the Bakyar, the elect, the 144,000. There's 12,000 men from each of the 12 tribes of Israel. 12 tribes of Israel consist of you so-called blacks, Latinos, and indigenous of America. The 144,000 being the governing body within the one-third. The rest of the one-third comprises of elect men, women, and children. Shalom to those Israelites scattered due to the diaspora and also the triangular trade. So our people come looking like different ethnicities, having various complexions. So this is not a black thing. We're not the black Hebrew Israelites. We're just Hebrew Israelites. Shalom to those that die in this truth. It says the dead should be raised up first. Those that will be accompanying Yahweh Shah on his return, including our King, King Mashah, who is King David. And as always, it's an honor and privilege, honor and blessing to continue to do this work. The water Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah Ba'ashim Harakach Wadash for answering my prayers and permitting me to do such. Baba Kashah Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah Ba'ashim Harakach Wadash allowed us to be an edifying lesson to at least one member of the elect.
The ultimate goal that these people have in mind is the goal to create a one world government run by the banking industry, run by.
So, as the video plays, I'm going to be injecting scriptures as we go along. This is Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 5. It reads, "Yeah, also, because he transgresseth by wine," which is his, ideologies, philosophies, policies, doctrine. He is a proud man, because of his feats and all the success he's had in his wickedness. He became very proud, as if he can't be touched. It says, neither keepeth at home. He doesn't stay in his land. He finds himself in other nations' lands. And that's the reason why they kicked him out. They chased after him. That's chasing after a thief. I believe that's in Job. See if it's in Job. Maybe not. Right, this is Job chapter 30, verse 5. I was in the right chapter. It says, they were driven forth from among men. They cried after them as after a thief. When you see that in certain movies, an individual might snatch a purse and, the woman will say, hey, hey. And then you probably have a white knight screaming, stop that man. That's synonymous of how, they cried after him as after a thief. right? Going back to Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 5, it says, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death and cannot be satisfied. Right. He's just going to keep going, man. Like a Dominus Rex. You know, what he got going just ain't good enough. And the blood that he shed is not enough blood. It says, but gathereth unto him all nations and heapeth unto him all people. So the next thing is setting up this new world order in which he's in total control of the whole world. And it's not just America, it's starting with the rich elite bankers. This is Revelation chapter 17, verse 1. And there came one of the seven angels which had the seven vials, which is the judgments, talked with me, saying unto me, come hither, I will show you the judgment of the great whore, because America is likened unto a whore, that sitteth upon many waters. And that many waters represents people, so they want to rule with a technocratic system and govern the whole world, starting with the rich elite, which they're using America as a enforcer, if you will, to get compliance.
By the bankers, and they're doing it in sections. The European currency, the euro, and the European Constitution is one part of it. Now they're trying to do it in America with the North American Union.
And that's what you got going on right now. I don't hear anyone talking about the North American Union, which is the reason why they went into Venezuela too. They're talking about Canada and then annexing Greenland, going into Mexico, also Colombia and Venezuela. They want to take over. That will be the North American Union. Let me see. This is from Wikipedia.org. It says the North American Union is a theoretical, economic, and political continental union of Canada, Mexico, and the United States, the three largest and most populous countries in North America. The concept is loosely based on the European Union, occasionally including a common currency called the Euro or the North American dollar. A union of the North American continent, sometimes extending to Central and South America, right, has been the subject of academic concepts for over a century, as well as becoming a common trope in science fiction. One reason for the difficulty in realizing the concept is that individual developments in each region have failed to prioritize a larger union. Some form of union has been discussed or proposed in academic, business, and political circles for decades. However, government officials from all three nations say there are no plans to create a North American Union and that no agreement to do so have been proposed, much less signed. The formation of a North American Union has been the subject of various conspiracy theories. But now, they can't hide it anymore, man. Which there's going to be, as you see the globe right here, you know, you're going to have a block here concerning them. You're going to have the European Union. You're going to have the Eurasian Union. I think they have the African Union as well. And those are going to be the blocks. I'm probably missing one. Let me see if I can look for it, search for it. That are going to have, it's going to be like sectioned for the New World Order. Let me see. Uh-huh. Which is not really going into. And, I think I know why. But that's okay. You get the gist of it, right? So going back,
Eric, can you be specific about when you met Rockefeller, how it happened in these discussions?
I met Rockefeller through a female attorney I knew who called me up one day and said, one of the Rockefellers would like to meet you. I had made a video called Mad as Hell, and he'd seen the video and wanted to meet me and knew I was running for governor of Nevada. So sure, I'd love to meet him. And I met him and I liked him, and he was a very, very smart man. And we used to talk and share ideas and thoughts. And video called Mad as Hell, and he'd seen the video and wanted to meet me and knew I was running for governor of Nevada. So sure, I'd love to meet him. And I met him and I liked him. And
yeah, when he mentioned the Rockefellers, right? These are who the world inly calls the Illuminati, the 13 families or banking families. And I'll go through it right now. It says the concept of the 13 banking families often refers to influential families that have historically held significant power in global finance, with the Rothschild family being one of the most notable examples. One, Rothschild family, known for their extensive banking empire, the Rothschilds have been influential in European finance since the late 18th century. They established a network of banks across Europe and played a crucial role in funding governments and major infrastructure projects. Two, Rockefeller family. While primarily associated with the oil industry, the Rockefellers have also been significant players in banking and finance, particularly through their investments and philanthropic efforts. The Astor family, historically known for their wealth in real estate holdings. The Astors have also been involved in banking and finance, contributing to their influence in American society. The DuPont family, although primarily recognized for their chemical and industrial ventures, the DuPonts have also had financial interests that align them with the banking sector. Other notable families, additional families often mentioned in discussions about powerful banking dynasties include the Bundy, Collins, Freeman, Kennedy, Lee, Onassis, Reynolds, Russell, and Van Duyn families. Each of these families has historical ties to wealth and influence, often through strategic marriages and business relate partnerships. You know,
and he was a very, very smart man. And we used to talk.
which goes back, if I will, or if I may, uh, to the secret councils. This is Psalms chapter 64, verse 2. It says, hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked. I'm going back to the rich elite bankers. From the insurrection of the workers of iniquity. Right? And then it also goes into them in Psalm 73, which I'm not going to get into on this particular video due to time constraint.
And share ideas and thoughts. And he's the one who told me 11 months before 9/11 ever happened that there was going to be an event. Never told me what the event was going to be.
So 9/11 was a false flag, man. Going back to Micah chapter 2, which says, woe to the oppressors. Woe to oppressors. Let me put my laptop on the charger. This is Micah chapter 2, verse 1. It says, woe to them that devised or scheme iniquity, sins upon sins, or evil, and work evil upon their beds. Right? So before they go to sleep, they conjure or concoct evil plans to carry out the next day. It says when the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand, because they're in power now. And they covet fields. Right. So they want resources, right? Because what's in the field? Resources, metals, oil, vegetation, trees, wood, and take them by violence. And they use their military to, steal these things and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage,
But there was going to be an event, and out of that event, we were going to invade Afghanistan to run pipelines from the Caspian Sea. We were going to invade Iraq.
So let me real quick, and I'll put the link to the video in the description box, and you can watch it without me interjecting. So this is General Wesley Clark revealed a controversial plan to destabilize 7 countries within 5 years, which that 5 years took a little longer than they expected. Starting with Iraq, and they invaded Iraq and Afghanistan in 9/11, right? Or as a result of 9/11, and including Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and the last, which they're trying to go into now, is Iran. And they have these things planned out for decades.
To take over the oil fields, establish a base in the Middle East, and make it all part of the New World Order. And we go after Chavez in Venezuela. And sure enough, later 9/11 happened.
So instead of going after Chavez in Venezuela, they went after his brother, Maduro.
And I remember he was telling me how how you're gonna see soldiers looking in caves for people in Afghanistan and Pakistan and all these places, and there's gonna be this war on terror, of which there's no real enemy, and the whole thing is a giant hoax, but it's a way for the government to take over the American people.
He said the whole thing is a giant hoax, right? And this is the spirit of this damn devil, man. This is Psalms chapter 58, verse 3. It says, the wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. And who is the wicked? You know, it's these Edomites, man, the sons of the wicked. This is Job chapter 13, verse 4. It says, but ye are forgers of lies. And that's the spirit of these damn devils, man. All they do is lie. They tell untruth. Ye are all physicians of no value, because it's all malpractice, right?
He told you it was going to be a hoax.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, there's no question. He says, there's going to be war on terror. And he's just laughing. There's no, who are we fighting? I mean, why do you think 9/11 happened and then nothing's happened since then? Do you think that our security is so great here that these people who pulled off 9/11 were able to, can't knock down another plane? Come on, it's ridiculous. Endless war on terror without any real enemy. That you can never define a winner.
And did he say that it's going to be perfect because you can't define an enemy? It just goes on and
Yeah,
on?
because you can't define a winner. There's no one to beat, so it goes on and on forever. And they can do whatever they want. They scared the hell out of the American public. Look, this whole war on terror is a fraud. It's a farce. It's very difficult to say it out loud because people are intimidated against saying it. Because if you say it, they want to make you into a nutcase. But the truth has to come out. That's why I'm doing this interview. The fact of the matter happens to be that the whole war on terror is a fraud. It's a farce. There's a war going on in Iraq because we invaded Iraq. And people over there fighting, But the war on terror, it's a joke, And until we discover what really happened on 9/11 and who was responsible for 9/11, because that's where the war on terror emanates from. That's where it comes from. It was 9/11 that allowed this war on terror to begin. And until we get to the bottom root of 9/11, the truth of 9/11, we'll never know about the war on terror.
And 9/11 was done by the tiny hats.
Now let's watch the government add insult to injury to the people of New Orleans.
No one will be able to be armed. We will take all weapons.
That happened today in this wealthy neighborhood where homeowners had armed themselves to protect their mansions. Residents were handcuffed on the ground. In the end, police took their weapons but let them stay in their homes.
Wasn't that kind and generous of the government to allow people to stay in their own homes? How thoughtful. Of course, they couldn't defend themselves from looters.
For many of the police and guard troops, it is an uncomfortable job to do this in an American city.
You never expect to do this in your own country.
Walking up and down these streets, you don't want to think about the stuff that you're going to have to do.
We are losing our right to...
You don't want to have to think about the stuff that you're going to have to do. That's when the enemy is going to come in as a flood, as you already seen them do now, man, with ICE, the Gestapo. This is Isaiah chapter 59, verse 19. So shall they fear the name of Yahweh from the west, which is the western hemisphere, and his glory from the rising of the sun, because the sun rises in the east, and that's where he's returning. coming from the east to the west. When the enemy, which is Esau and his system, shall come in like a flood, which that word flood goes into armies. He's just going to send his armies. And that's how Esau attacks. He does raids. The spirit of Yahweh shall lift up a standard against him, right? And that standard is dealing with men with spiritual powers, which we're entering in that time now. Going to the Apocrypha, Second Ezra chapter 16. Go to verse 68. It says, "For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you." Right, man. And these individuals, that once they, really get to clicking, they're gonna be just killing everybody. They're gonna be blood drunk, man. They're gonna be fondling your daughters, raping your significant others. And they're gonna be doing all these things with absolute immunity, whether they be actual American citizens or they be Interpol, because back in the day, Interpol was supposed to take that rule concerning coming to America and policing it in the event of martial law, right? It says, "And they shall take away certain of you," and they're gonna put certain of you on a white bus, right, and take you to a internment camp. It says, "And feed you, being idle, being stationary." They're gonna feed you that jail food, right, with things offered onto idols, to eventually they're gonna present you that that chip, that microchip, and they that consent, those that are in agreement, you know, onto them, shall be had in mockery or derision. They're gonna be mocked because the Most High is gonna put a plague on those that get the microchip. It says, "And in reproach," which is shame, because they couldn't endure. They didn't have faith. Also, it was evident that Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua wasn't dealing with them. It trodden underfoot, right? Pretty much to be destroyed. Let's see what it says here. It says, this line appears in a section describing the persecution and chaos that will fall on the earth during the prophesied time of great trouble, which is Jacob's trouble, right? And the flow of the chapter, trodden underfoot, means crushed, humiliated, or overpowered. So some of you individuals, the Most High has prescribed onto you to be overpowered, which, some of you going to get raped, whether it be male or whether it be female. It says, "Treated with contempt, like something stepped on, completely dominated by hostile forces." Yeah, a lot of you deserve it, especially you nigger women, man. You nigger women, you're going to be completely dominated by hostile forces, as you already are. We've seen it on TV, man. Somebody got whooped, I believe, today in Minnesota or Minneapolis. Verse 7, it says, "For there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection," or in, meaning up, and surrection, go into rising upon those that fear Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, which is you Israelites. They should be like mad men, right? They're gonna be like machines, you know. Let me get that quote. See, John Connor described the Terminator. All right, this is it right here. Which I don't think this is a full quote, but it says it doesn't feel pity or remorse or fear, and it absolutely will not stop ever. Because he emphasized that in the movie. Until you are dead. And that's the spirit that Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is going to put on these soldiers when they get to unaliving you jakes, man. It's the spirit that the Most High is going to put on them. It says sparing none. You know, you drill rappers always talk about how you ain't sparing nothing, you ain't sparing shit. Well, these armies that the Most High is sending upon you are gonna spare none, man. But still spoiling. You know, they're gonna be taking your possessions, right, and destroying. They're gonna be unaliving you. Those that fear Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, for they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. Then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried, which to be tried means to be tested, as the gold in the fire. All right. So I'm going to go back real quick.
Injury to the people of New Orleans.
No one will be able to be armed. We will take all weapons.
That happened today in this wealthy neighborhood where homeowners had armed themselves to protect their mansions. Residents were handcuffed on the ground. In the end, police took their weapons but let them stay in their homes.
Wasn't that kind and generous of the government to allow people to stay in their own homes? How thoughtful. Of course, they couldn't defend themselves from looters.
For many of the police and guard troops, it is an uncomfortable job to do this in an American city.
You never expect to do this in your own country.
Walking up and down these streets, you don't want to think about the stuff that you're going to have to do.
We are losing our right to property. The government is getting more pretexts to seize it, using the power to confiscate it with eminent domain. The asset forfeiture laws have proliferated. It's easier for the prosecutors to come in and make an accusation against you and confiscate your property even though they have no evidence that you've done anything wrong. Guilt or innocence doesn't really matter that much because it's very convenient for the government.
Unfortunately, what is being sold to the American people today as Americanism, if you peel off the label, you find so much similarity to what we were fighting against when we were fighting communism and Nazism and fascism.
The government's now putting a national ID card together and they want checkpoints.
We will be carrying our papers, and they have recommended there'll be checkpoints throughout the country.
Isn't that what Nazi Germany did that everybody in America was against? Papers, please. I see a...
Wasn't it Nazi Germany? Real quick. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 9. It says, the thing that have been, it is that which shall be. So just like there was a Third Reich, Nazi Germany, now there's a Fourth Reich, Nazi America. Because the word Nazi just means nationalist. And what do you have in the White House, the Oval Office? You have nothing but individuals with ties to white nationalists, right? It says, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. You know?
Papers?
May we see your papers?
I don't think I have them on me.
In that case, we'll have to ask you to come along.
Wait, it's possible that yes. Here we are.
These papers expired 3 weeks ago. You'll have to come along. Halt!
In the new
Yeah, man, they're going to be killing you people.
legislation, the national ID card is in it. It takes 3 or 4 pages to describe, and it will be connected with our driver's licenses. The states will be instructed on exactly what they have to do. Social security numbers will be used. Some type of a physical proof, such as fingerprints or retinal prints, have to be on it.
Can a microscopic tag be implanted in a person's body to track his every movement? There's actual discussion about that. You will rule on that, mark my words, before your tenure is over.
Homeland.
What's that? Microscopic tag. That they wanted to implant into the workers, the laborers, dealing with the MOTB, the mark of the beast. This is Revelation chapter 13, verse 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, which is, going back to the Roman system, the Roman way, that the image of the beast should both speak, which, is going to be tied to the AI, right? And I'm going to show you something real quick, which this movie is out, I believe, in theaters. I'll probably watch it tonight if it's out on a special channel,
I'm Chris Pratt.
I'm Rebecca Ferguson.
You're going to freak out when you see the trailer for our new movie, Mercy. What the? Get me out of this chair.
Detective Raven, I'm Judge Maddox, and this is the Mercy Capital Court, a judicial system powered by artificial intelligence.
Hold on, just wait
Wait a second.
With crime rates soaring, lawmakers voted for mercy. By acting as judge, jury, and executioner, mercy keeps our city safe.
I shouldn't be here. I helped create the Mercy program. I'm proud to have sent the first suspect for trial here, and I will continue to send more until the message is received.
Detective Raven, I know precisely who you are. You're before this court today charged with the murder of your wife.
Oh my God.
Your guilt must fall below the 92% threshold, or you will be executed in precisely 90 minutes.
I loved my wife. I didn't hurt her.
So, and that's not too far-fetched because what? They got AI lawyers. So why not an AI judge, jury, executioner, right? And cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Those that don't want to be a part of this system. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or on their foreheads, which that word mark goes back to the Greek charagma, which means something, basically something incisioned or etched, which a root word, palisade, would be the delivery system, the needle, and then the preceding root word, grapho, which to write within. So all your information is going to be on this chip, and it's going to be injected into your into either hand, right? Or you could opt to get the brain chip, which is a brain interface, where you get companies like Neuralink testing, right? It says, or in their foreheads. It says in that no man might buy or sell, so you can't participate economically if you don't have these devices, save he that hath the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name.
And security folks, the Department of Defense and others have expressed an interest in being able to more closely monitor the U.S. populace. And one way to do that, of course, would be being able to determine who buys what and where they take those things. Radio waves can travel through walls. They can.
So this is all planned. They had all these things planned out, right? From Fox News. A massive database that the government will use to monitor every purchase made by every American citizen is a necessary tool in the war on terror. And that's what they're going to do, man. World War III. The Pentagon said Wednesday, and that's the Pentagon saying that. So they had all these things planned and dumped out or thought out.
Radio waves can travel through walls. They can travel through wood. They can travel through the things we normally rely on to protect our privacy.
And those radio waves are going to cause cancer.
For example, your purse, your backpack, your pocket, anything you're wearing or carrying. Kraft Philadelphia cream cheese has been tagged with RFID and sold to consumers, as have Mach 3 razor products and other Gillette razor products, without the knowledge of the consumer. One of the tiny chips could actually even be the dot on the letter I on the back of the fine print on a package that you purchase. They were talking about having reader devices in every airport, on every bus, on every train, on every port, on every dock. One of the most worrisome applications of RFID are proposals to put them into cash. meaning that you would be able to track every banknote, where it had been, who it had been issued to, and create, in essence, an audit trail. That would essentially take away the anonymity of cash that we now enjoy today. The ATM machine itself, as the money came through the roller device, would be reading each number, and they would know who you are because, of course, you identify yourself at the bank before you take money out. And down the road, when you go to pay at a major retailer, it would also be possible for them, as they're putting the money into the cash drawer, to simply feed it through a little reader device. It would go in, it would tag that number and transfer possession from Aaron Russo, say, to Walmart. Once everything you do is tied down to a single number and there is no longer the ability to pay with cash, then all it takes to render you a non-citizen is to simply turn that chip off. You will no longer be able to
Simply turn that chip off. And you don't think this damn devil's just gonna do it just on GP? Just to F with people? Him setting up this system already is diabolical. So just imagine how far, especially considering his track record, he's gonna take it, man.
really participate in any function in society, including buy food.
So through the implementation of the Federal Reserve System, the American citizen has gone from being a private individual who had real money, gold, in his possession that was private, to a citizen who has no privacy because all money is now being digitized. They can deduct whatever amount of money they want out of your digits whenever they want. They can trace you whenever they want. You'll be at their mercy. God forbid we allow this to happen in America.
This is absolutely Orwellian. I mean, it's talking about Big Brother looking over your shoulder at absolutely everything you do, every purchase you make, every place you go, every company you interact with. All of that would be reported back potentially to the government.
No. So yeah, with that, hope at least one brother of the elect was edified. I'm gonna say shalom.